Awesome. Yeah. So thank you for coming here. And maybe we can just go around, do a brief intro of yourself and your organization.
My name is Ariel Arrieta. I am an entrepreneur. Then I became to be an investor, and right now I am start a new company as a founder.
Okay, so I'm Hanna Schiuma. I was an entrepreneur. I co-founded Bello. I had the luck, and I'm in the core team of Crecimiento since the beginning, and now we're building Lucero Ventures, an early stage fund based on the Crecimiento ecosystem.
And I'm Dominic Schwenter. I run the Lisk L2 platform, and we're building really a growth platform for emerging market founders on top of Ethereum. We work very closely with the Crecimiento team here in Argentina, and we also recently launched a $15 million fund to help bridge the gap between emerging market founders and global VCs. And unlike most kind of maybe ecosystem funds, this is really, we've seeded the fund, but the majority of the capital comes from outside LPs.
Thank you for the brief intro. So just to level set, I think some folks in the audience, quite people from the audience are not from Argentina or interested in the market. So maybe Aliet, since you are local, can you kind of walk through to level set kind of the background or the context of the Argentinian tech ecosystem?
Yes, I think the Argentina tech ecosystem started with the beginning of internet here. It was in 1995. But it took off as an investment platform around the year 1999 when one Argentinian company called Patagon, running by Wences Casares, they took off. As a personal note, I remember when he raised the first round, he was in the front page of every magazine here. And at that time, I raised my first company. I started my first company. I raised $2 million in exchange of 95% of the equity. To give you some color of the Wild West experience that was to make investment in tech companies here. And that was not the only case on this critical moment. Then things are getting more normal, and we learn about how to make deals. And for this company, I remember I failed, but we sold part of the company to an American company, and we received equity in exchange of that. That was in 1999, and in the year 2000, this equity was zero. And we have a big crisis in 2001. Every company broke. Then, at that moment, it was the beginning of the first companies that create major impact, like the Mercado Libres of this world, in competing with the Remate, who was the founder of this company. Of the Remate, also he created 3 other unicorns, OLX, and with that, we start to have the first angel investors. I remember I started my second company in 2003. I received an investment of $10K from one investor. And in 4 years, we converted this $10K in $2 million when we sold the company to News Corporation, to Fox. And these cases of angel investors starting very low and making huge revenues or huge ROIs in 4 years, converting this 10K in 2 million, sounds like happens only in Silicon Valley, but there was too many other stories similar to that. When I left Fox, I started to be an angel investor, and I realized that there was very hard to scale this business of financial investor, even though there was many other angels. And in 2011, we created NXTP as an accelerator and a fund. And with that, we beginning to have other the first venture capital funds. At the same time, Kasek Ventures starts in the same year that the NXTP launched. And he have the background of being the founders of Mercado Libre, and also have the experience to make investment and create the first funds in Latin America. And right now we have a much stronger ecosystem because we have many unicorns that start here and they bring a stronger track record of good investment to generate more engagement from other investors.
Thank you, Aliet, for actually walking through the history and
Just one quick fun fact on that. So over the last 10 years, LATAM has done like a 17x in terms of the number of unicorns that have come out of it. So just to kind of paint the picture of where we are now, I think it was about 2 in 2015, and now we're kind of up to 32 or so, which has been very impressive to see.
Yeah, definitely see the trajectory, the growth. As like Alian mentioned, some of the early days company like Mercado Libre, etc., they actually have to study in the U.S. and got funding from the U.S., actually more specifically from Stanford. And then Lucero Ventures, like $1 billion huge fund. But later on, there's a lot of crypto startups. They're actually local. They're raised, educated, and they never went to the States and raised money globally. It's like the case I just mentioned some. Also, they're all decentraland, open sampling, hard hat, POAP, DeFi Wonderland, Lambda Class, Land Layer, Mountain Protocol, Rebuild, RSK, Lemon Cash, Bello, and many others. It's all like local, founded by Argentinian founders. So it's quite impressive. So, question I have for Hanna and Dominic is why it's like such a case for Argentina? You think it's like such a strong like adoption on the Euro side for crypto, but also so many like great founders for the crypto startups.
Okay, I can go. Yeah, there's several factors. I think that since we have this super crazy economic history and we have to deal with inflation, capital controls, and so on, everyone in Argentina is like a financial expert, and so you have to know about a lot of things that in other countries are abnormal, and so. And besides that, we had this first cohort of entrepreneurs, starting with Mercado Libre 25 years ago, that pushed forward all the tech ecosystem, and they went to Stanford and they raised capital outside Argentina. And so that was a huge example for the next cohorts of entrepreneurs to keep pushing, keep going and building. And specifically in Web3, we have very useful use cases. I mean, there are real use cases and problems to solve here. Crypto is huge, stablecoins adoption, since we had capital controls for so long time. And so one of our best OGs and talented developers in Argentina programmed the smart contract of DAI. I mean, we built stablecoins here because the use cases are real. And yesterday I was in a talk with Santiago Paladino, one of our top engineers as well, working on Aztec. And he said that he threw this stat that Argentina has now 3 times more software developers and blockchain developers in Argentina than US. And so it's real that you have this enormous and giant talent pool in Argentina. So we have like macroeconomic conditions that favors entrepreneurship and use cases. And then you have talent pool. You have like all this academic infrastructure that is built for to push engineers on the market. And so you have these perfect conditions. But the one thing that is and you have the power of communities. Crecimiento is one of the greatest examples of what you can build when you have a community effort and collaboration together in one physical hub as Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is super talented and super renowned because of that. We have communities working on the shadows for so long time. But with this, we find that there's one gap, is that early stage funding. NXTP and Kazakh, they did a great job, but then the crypto space and the crypto founders, they had to fly and to raise money abroad. And so right now we're trying to attract all this global VC funds and all these LPs and investors to look to Argentina, and because we know that we have all these conditions, the favorite conditions, but we have to showcase them to the foreigners, to the investors from outside, from global scenario, to come here and to invest in Argentinian talent.
Yeah, and it's going to take funds like ours working together, right, to make that happen. I think so. I mean, one of our main theses is just that talent's really everywhere, but opportunity's not, right? And so I think Argentina's a great example of that with all the companies you just mentioned. Clear that there's tons of technical and founder talent here. As Hanna was mentioning, I think a lot of it comes down to lack of access to capital. That's one of them, obviously. I think one of the other things that's really interesting in Argentina specifically right now is if you look at where crypto adoption's been strong, it's usually either where there's the real use case, right? Inflationary problems, FX controls, things like that, or where there's pro-crypto regulation. And so Argentina is one of the first places now potentially where it really becomes that you have both of those things kind of intertwined. And so one of the reasons we're very bullish on Argentina as a whole.
Yes, that's quite interesting. You have both top-down and bottom-up, grassroots, and also you have very talented engineers in the space that can actually create a huge impact. And hence, I think Ethereum choose here to do a Devconnect. It's a great choice. So any particular, based on your experience interacting with Argentine founders, you feel like other than the normal ones like payment, etc., any particular use cases you think is well suited for people here that's not being widely discussed or repeatedly discussed? It's like payments, obviously discussed a lot, but
I give two. Obviously, besides fintech, verification is quite a big one, right? So obviously, there's often, extensive fraud or lack of trust in countries like Argentina.
we need to solve a bit of problems about this kind of issues in Argentina still.
I think you have different ones, regulation, currency, but most of these risks, Argentina is also a small market in terms of the size that you have to build a billion-dollar company. For that, you have most of the entrepreneurs here are starting from the day one thinking in the region, and when you are succeeding having a multi-country company, maybe a regional company, most of these risks are diluting in the basket of different revenues that are coming from different countries, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia. That is the usual path for companies that start from Argentina, and this is a big change from other countries. If you are a Brazilian founder, probably you believe that you can build a billion-dollar company just in Brazil, and you don't have to lead with the hustle to regionalize. Same thing with Mexico, but from Argentina or Colombia, from the day one, you have to start to build something regional, and you're reducing most of this risk with this diversification in terms of countries.
Yeah, I agree with what's been said. I think I would just add, like, obviously liquid capital markets and access to them is a big one. And yeah, I guess that's the only thing I would add that hasn't been said.
Thank you. So I think time is up. I guess it'll be the last question. Question I have is based on our observation and experience with Argentinian kind of tech ecosystem, and seems like there's a lot of great founders, like Open70 founders, Decentraland founders. They're just local. They're not educated in the US. They're raising money globally, some locally, and there's some early Ethereum holder and Bitcoin holders. So there's definitely some limited amount of wealth to invest. So I think a lot of founders was able to get the good ones the first round, right? Early stage, etc. And you guys obviously too. But it seems like there is a chasm where it's very hard to cross. There's some Lemon Cash and Bello probably able to cross, where they become like a global stage startup. They can raise from Silicon Valley or deserve the Silicon Valley kind of valuation. What do you think either you guys can do or people should do to kind of help the founders, early stage, competent Argentinian founders to better cross that chasm to become a global stage company?
Well, I'm going to switch it a little bit, just because I think one of the things that global investors should think about, which is maybe a little bit of a contrarian view, is whether, Western VC, what's the state of Western VC, right? I mean, like if you look at the IRR over the last 3 years, it's I think like negative 2.7% compared to an emerging market VC of 10 to 11%. Roloff Bota, who was managing director of Sequoia until a few days ago, has kind of mentioned that, over the last 20 to 30 years, if you look at the averages, it's like an average of 20 companies per year that reach an exit valuation, a realized exit valuation of $1 billion or more. So the number of billion-dollar companies isn't increasing, but the amount of funding behind them has, I don't know how much, but it's gone parabolic. And so, I mean, to be honest, I think emerging markets are one of the best investment opportunities to get real returns now.
So how would you propose to people who are like American? I think most of the audience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so again, like if there's capital allocators here, then it's to like get more involved, understand what's happening in emerging markets, and considering being an LP in some of these funds, for example. I mean, directly to the question, it's something that we hear actually in many of the markets we work in. And it's that again, if you're building out of Silicon Valley, you kind of start from day one thinking you're going to build a global company. And again, it's not just Argentina, but whether you're building out of Indonesia, again, you have these massive markets, and it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm just going to build a solution just for this market, instead of thinking globally from day one. So, I mean, again, just kind of helping change a founder's mindset to that position can be very powerful.
Yep. The other thing is try to support the entrepreneurs. As an investor, try to get early as possible. We was the first check of Auth0 that became us. We get 232x return. We was investor in Open Zeppelin at the first check, Ripio, RSK, Lemon, Velo, Securitize that is doing the IPO. And we try to be the first check. And that is very important because the numbers are completely crazy when you are entered before that. And then the other thing is try to help them to connect. Part of your job is to connect them to get the next round and to cross this chasm.
Just to add one more thing, the ecosystem here is super powerful, but it's really, really helpful to be on top of communities, helping. All the job that we've done with Crecimiento, building ecosystem to support the founders in like a very experimental way, but trying to understand their needs, to help them enlarge their network and access capital and so on. For me, that's really interesting. The community building here is super powerful. And so for investors that try to onboard, try to understand the land in Latin America, it's really helpful to understand how community is being built here.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is being put together by Crecimiento is a great go-to place as a kind of investor, not from the Argentina ecosystem, to understand what's going on, assess some of the risk, and get the filtered best quality of founders.
The last recipe to success, to invest very early, is to support what is doing Lucero. Lucero is a fund that is raising capital, but connect with them because they will raise a small fund and they will need a ton of co-investment, and put a small check and being one of the first LP will be the next recipe to get this deal flow of this community from Argentina and start from the day one and then to make small checks to co-invest with them will be a very successful recipe.
Thanks for that.
Thank you.
Just real quick on that, just because I think it's relevant. So some of the LPs we work with, they actually put in small checks just because they want to get more hands-on data on what's happening in the ground. So that's also a great way to start.
Yeah. Thank you. I think time is up. I just want to make one last sentence or mention one last thing. So via Ariel, you have such a high hit rate, first check to a mini legend company. If you were like in Silicon Valley, I think you would be a legend, like movie star. Like everyone would chase you for deal flows.
Thank you.
You can still chase him after the panel if you'd like.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.